My name is Michelle Bouffard, founder of Tasting Climate Change, and we're here today because Sustainable Winegrowing New Zealand is celebrating 30 years. Quite an achievement. And over the years, they have identified 6 different pillars they want to focus on. And of course, one of the most important one is mitigating climate change, so reducing your carbon footprint. They have the goal to be carbon zero by 2050 as an industry, so it's quite ambitious. Today, to talk about a topic with us is Peter Jones, or PJ, depending on how you know him. He was the director at The Landing. Peter, thank you so much for being with us.
My pleasure.
The Landing was certified carbon zero in 2021. So can we start just by explaining what is carbon zero certification?
Carbon zero for us means that we can prove through a full audited process that we absorb more carbon in on our property than our operations emit. So effectively, while we do release carbon and we do have a carbon footprint, on the property as a whole, we have a lot of other activities and operations going on which sequester way more carbon in than we emit. So net we are zero, or we actually sequester several hundred tonnes more than we emit.
That's great. And what did you put in place to get there?
Our key change and the key way we were able to obtain this certification is by revegetative planting of large areas of the property. The property as a whole is around 1,000 acres. Our vineyard that sits on it is around 35, so it's a smaller part of the entire operation. But what we have done is gone into a mass revegetation program and have so far revegetated around about 500 of the acres of the total 1,000. And that planting absorbs carbon from the atmosphere. And through that, we're able to offset the carbon that we emit in our winemaking operation.
Peter, what are you planting? Which plant do you choose when you do that?
They're generally native New Zealand plants, so the bush that would have been there 100 years ago or 500 years ago. We have we had when we started off some small areas of that native bush, and what we have done is use that as the basis to expand on that. We've taken seeds from those smaller areas, we grow our own plants, we push them out, we take seeds off those, we push out further. So the wider benefits are fairly huge. It's a bit of a healing of the land.
And which other practices have you put in place? Because it's quite a goal. So I imagine you've done other things also.
The good thing about the certification and auditing process is it really made us look into what we are doing in terms of how we, what is it that's causing our carbon to be released. And it became obvious in year one that the one major emitter is diesel and petrol. And it's not that easy really to get rid of those. Tractors run on diesel. We don't yet have a tractor that can operate on what is quite hilly landscape that's fully electric. We are converting a lot of our subsidiary vehicles into hybrids and full electrics where we can.
And how is it to manage Scope 3, which are the CO2 emission that everybody that you're working with are producing?
That is obviously the most difficult part, because we really have no influence over that other than really who we choose to deal with and how they treat their own emissions. So we do have an active policy of seeking out people who are also carbon zero or carbon reduced certified. And in many cases, those organisations have bought credits rather than are managing it through their own operation. And I wonder about that and about how much difference that really makes. It's about an awareness for us. We just need to be aware of who we're dealing with, aware of our own emissions, and work out how we can minimise and in our case, overcompensate for those emissions.
Thank you so much for sharing those information, Peter, and invite everyone to go to the website of New Zealand Wine, and you will see they have published their sustainability report. And it's quite interesting because they put exactly where the carbon footprint is in the industry and what they're doing to get to carbon zero between now and 2050. So thank you so much, everyone, for being there.